Oh, Saturday morning cartoons, a weekly tradition celebrated by my generation and those before us, and even some early Gen Zers as well. A time when over-the-air networks in the US would inundate children with three of their favorite things: cartoons, cereal, and toys to beg our parents for. It's long since passed on, but for some of us, we hold on to those memories dearly. Maybe you watched One Saturday Morning or Nick on CBS. The choice for my brothers and I was Kids WB, but there was another channel during our time that was in the fray as well. The Fox Television Network broadcast children's programming for 18 years, going under a few regime and branding changes in that span as well. Being from the Metro Detroit market, things in the area were a little weird, however, and I'm gonna tell you the story. Hey everyone, Skull902 here, and this is the strange tale of Fox Kids in Detroit. The Fox network was started in 1986 and, for its first few years, was not seen as a major player in television the way it is today. Largely behind the titans that were ABC, CBS, and NBC, Fox survived its lower national coverage, and many of the stations they did affiliate with were medium or low-powered, which I'll get back to in a bit, with popular shows such as Married with Children, America's Most Wanted, and The Simpsons easily their biggest hit. In the Detroit market, Fox was affiliated with WKBD from the time it launched and when Fox Kids began in 1990. You want your Batman, your Power Rangers, your Bobby's World, you go to Fox Kids. You want Fox Kids, you watch Fox. Makes sense. However, things changed in 1994 because of a little organization called the National Football League. Fox's surprise win over CBS in the bidding war for rights to the coverage of NFC games actually set off a giant wave of network affiliation changes, a subject that's far too technical for me to get into here, but Detroit was one place that saw a couple of those changes. Fox saw value in the strong VHF signal of WJBK, and the station agreed to a switch, kicking CBS to the curb. However, WJBK strangely declined to carry the Fox Kids block. I'd have thought that airing the #1 children's show in the country at the time would be a good idea to get ratings, but what do I know? Fox Kids remained on WKBD, which would become an affiliate of UPN in early 1995. This had no effect on the UPN Kids block as it aired on Sundays, but let's be honest, who the hell was watching UPN Kids anyway? That arrangement would remain until August 1998, when the block moved to WADL, an independent channel, and this is when things got weird for my viewing experience. I've mentioned plenty of times that I'm a big fan of Power Rangers, but this change actually meant that I missed a lot of it when it was originally airing. Didn't see much of In Space or Lost Galaxy, missed Lightspeed Rescue entirely, and only caught a few episodes of Time Force. By the time I was able to see Wild Force, it was airing reruns on cable, and I was much more privy to channel surfing than I was in preschool. It's not that we didn't have access to WADL, I've lived in the area my whole life, but we could hardly ever find the show. At my mom's house, which is where I was primarily living. Almost every memory of catching Power Rangers on TV at that time were over at my dad's, and I guess they never communicated that info. I was so preconditioned to not being able to see Power Rangers outside of reruns and VHS tapes that I actually didn't see a whole lot of the new seasons on cable before I fell out in 2004. And it's not just Power Rangers either. I suspect that not a whole lot of kids were watching on WADL because no Fox Kids show was popular in my area during my early school years. You'd see Digimon commercials and maybe some media references to a Digimon-Pokemon rivalry, but I swear to Christ, nobody was repping Digimon where I came from. Sorry, Agumon. I only remember seeing the tiniest bits of it when I happened to find where Fox Kids was, along with some of Double Dragon and Mummies Alive. I could have sworn at one point I saw a commercial for what would have been WWF Metal with the Fox Kids logo in the corner, but if it wasn't some fever dream, then it must have been a promo for WCW Worldwide, as footage from the final episode shows it aired on the station. The only other thing I remember seeing of the block on WADL for sure was a preview special of upcoming programs in 1999 that had Beast Wars, which was hosted by the kids from Malcolm in the Middle, oddly enough. Should have been Bryan Cranston, that would have been interesting. Back to our history lesson. In 2001, Saban Entertainment, which had control of the block, was acquired by Disney, with Fox taking back the reins. They discontinued weekday airings in December of that year and, looking to go a new direction, put the Saturday morning time slot up for auction. The rights were paid for by everyone's favorite anime dubbing studio, 4Kids Entertainment, and in September 2002, Fox Kids would become the Foxbox, now under 4Kids control with a new slate of programming. For Detroit specifically, change would come the following year when the Foxbox moved from WADL to WDWB, which was affiliated with the WB. Obviously. Note how I mentioned my brothers and I used to watch Kids WB back in the day. You might be wondering, if they already had Kids WB, how does that work? Well, in Detroit, they simply didn't compete against each other after the switch. Kids WB was on weekdays and Saturday morning as per usual, and in an interesting move, the foxbox, renamed to 4Kids TV in 2005, aired on Sunday mornings. So those who were into Kirby Right Back At Ya or Sonic X would have to wait an extra day to get their fix compared to most of the country. This is actually how I saw my first episode of the latter show. And found out One Piece existed. Huh. In September 2006, another big shakeup in the US television space happened when UPN and the WB merged to form the CW, leaving it and mynetworktv in their place as the new channels on the block. WDWB would become WMYD, Kids WB would leave for the CW, and despite that, 4Kids TV actually remained in its Sunday morning slot on the station. Ironically, Kids WB would shut down in May of 2008 and was replaced by the CW 4Kids, very similar to how they acquired the Fox time slot. They owned the weekend in Detroit for 7 months before disagreements between 4Kids and Fox ended in the cancellation of 4Kids TV, which aired for the final time in Detroit on December 28, 2008. One day extra, as it had been the last 5 years. Who'd have thought that a programming block would have to jump through so many loops just to air in one market? I find it a pretty fascinating story, and hope you did too. I know there are other markets where the block didn't air on Fox, notably in Chicago, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Miami among others, but it seems Detroit is a particularly unique case. If you want to have a broader look at TV in the area between the 70s and 2000s, I'd give a big recommendation to Television Detroit. I had not seen such a comprehensive archive of broadcasting evolution for one locality before discovering this channel, and it's pretty cool that it just so happens to be in my neck of the woods. But that's the story of Fox's children's block in Detroit. For those in Southeast Michigan, whether you were watching Power Rangers on Fox Kids, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the Foxbox, or Mew Mew Power on 4Kids TV, there was more than likely some weird circumstance behind it, but the Saturday and Sunday morning magic remained the same.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, or dislike the video if you feel so inclined, subscribe and click the notification bell if you'd like to see more. For similar content, a playlist is right here. I have been Skull902, thank you for watching and have yourselves a wonderful day.